Let's get down to business. I'm just going to talk a little bit about Life is Strange. Since Life is Strange 3 is out now, I should have did this a lot earlier, but here we go. Like I said before, I have schoolwork to do, so if you don't see any, if I can't find any highlights from Apex Legends, y'all ain't gonna see nothing but a screen. So I hope you enjoy my voice if that's the case. Let's get down to the real business. Life is Strange. The first one is strange. Now, I don't even think I can really talk that much about the second one. This is just going to be a whole rundown, okay, of the series, since it's now a series. I would have been fine if this bootleg, and I do mean bootleg, butterfly effect thing actually stopped at the whole Chloe dying and all that thing. First, oh my goodness, this is just so much. It's so loaded. It's very loaded. Okay, so let me get into the first one. The first one, I'll just say the biggest thing about it was misogyny. It was drenched in misogyny, cosplaying as feminism, and being trash. I've trash talked Life is Strange a lot on this channel, and I've never actually really given a lot of reason why, except in the video down below. I don't necessarily know what it is off the top of my head, but I'm going to link it in the description because I talk a little bit about it, because before the storm I talk about, which was a waste of time. And it didn't have to be. It didn't have to be a waste of time, but it was. It was a waste of freaking flipping time. And I'll explain why in a second, but we got to talk about the first one. So the first one is drenched in misogyny. Everything about it is drenched in misogyny. There are countless male adults who are engaging in very inappropriate activity with minors. One being Frank. Everyone acts like Frank isn't a bad guy at all. He's okay though. Is he though? Is he their peer? Because it does not look like he's their peer. He actually looks like a freaking adult. How old is Frank? Do they even say? Anyway, Mr. Jefferson is another one who, even in some of the universes that Max even deals with, he's not put on blast because he doesn't, I don't know. It's just I have no idea. When you get into time jumping and all that, it's hard. It's hard to get it right. And this isn't an example of it happening, especially since there's a part 2. And 3. Chloe is literally the incel's worst nightmare. The girl that won't go away. The blue-haired monster. She literally is that evil monster demon that if you let live, your whole world will end. That is the whole reason for this game. To kill her or let her live and everyone else die. That's what this game is. Max is also an issue, but I'll talk about that later. Chloe is a manifestation of incorrect generalizations of women. So I'm just sitting here didn't really need that. There's a lot of people who have a lot invested in Life is Strange because guess what? People who, just because you see one gay person here and one gay person there, that doesn't mean that there's equality. Before Life is Strange, the first one, tell me how many protagonists were outwardly gay. Outwardly gay that didn't have, usually they make villains gay because they think of it as something negative. They put some positive traits in villains and heroes and whatnot. But overall, there are more gay-coded villains than there are heroes. And that's for a specific reason. When Max Caulfield and Chloe Price, regardless of what their personalities were, and even to contextualize what that means, the reason why they made them that way. They're insufferable, but they're not insufferable because they're gay. But I think it's interesting that they put certain traits to gay characters, black characters, Asian characters, Hispanic characters. We'll talk about Hispanic characters when we talk about Life is Strange too. They're given certain traits, and then it's just wow, dude, okay, so you're gonna give us a representation, and then you're gonna slander, they're gonna make them the worst person on the freaking thing. It's annoying. But to have a protagonist that's gay outwardly and it's not their whole personality, and it's not hidden. What's a big thing for the LGBT plus community. And no, I'm not saying every gay person, every black person has to be the perfect pinnacle of perfection. That's what racists want. That's what homophobic people want. So they can say, well, there's one good one. They want those examples, but they'd rather see what they think their perception shows them, how bad somebody is because of X, Y, Z. But I think you guys took it to the extreme, making these particular people, Max Caulfield, Chloe Price, the way they are. Literally, you could have taken out 3 bad traits that you put on them and people wouldn't have such a big issue with them. It's insane that people are like, oh, they're just pushing an agenda. Like, they're not pushing an agenda. You're pushing an agenda, the heterosexual agenda. Y'all love to talk about how your sons are such a playa, but when the playa is also with another guy, you like, oh, well, that's a problem. That's a thing. And then you guys love to fetishize lesbians. I have my issues with Life is Strange, this series. But what I will applaud them for is the fact that I feel like, I don't know if anybody who is a lesbian or who is of the LGBT plus community thinks this, but me as a cisgender woman, heterosexual, I didn't feel like there was any form of fetishization when it came to the romance. And good thing too, because most of these people are children. So I'm glad. So I didn't have a problem with Chloe. I thought it was interesting how Chloe was, I don't know how old they're supposed to be together. Honestly, I just thought about making this video. So I only have my memory going on right now. I literally understand. I don't know. Okay, all their ages are strange. Everyone looks a different age, but they all go to the same school. And I don't know if it's college or if it's high school or something. It looks like college, but because there's dorms and whatnot. I know it's a boarding school, but not really a boarding school. I don't know. It's crazy because she was going to school, and before the storm, Chloe was going to school and she was at home. So it has to be some sort of school that you go to, but there's dorms. So it's strange. I just don't know. But the whole thing about it is Maxine, or Max, whatever her name is, she embodies a younger person. She is 18 years old, according to the website online. And I appreciate that her body type reflects her age, because usually 18, they make them look like crazy. Like, I had this problem in Kingdom Hearts. No one's age is confirmed, so everyone, like, other than the main cast, other than Riku, they all look like adults. And Aqua in particular, I really had an issue with, because she's built like an adult, and it's just like, how old is she for real? And yes, some, like, I can tell you one person in my middle school who looked a certain way, but I don't know. I just feel like they did a fine job with Max, but when we get to Chloe, it's really interesting. Chloe's 19, so I really don't know what they were trying to do with the ages, but let me talk about Max before we get to Chloe, okay? I really don't want to talk about Chloe, but I really do want to talk about Chloe because, well, you'll see. So, like, the beef and flack that Max gets for being just basic and bland, obviously people don't know that she's the insert your own person. I would have loved to have had you make your own character and you can name them what you want and just be put in the exact same position. Like, oh, you didn't call me for all those years. It's like, what were you doing? Because we never really get a reason why Max never called Chloe when she moved away. We never get a reason other than she just didn't care about her anymore. Like, that was basically all we got. And that's the reason why Chloe treats her with such disdain when she gets back into her life. She kind of thinks she's her guardian angel to fix her life up. And oh my gosh, I do want to talk about Chloe, because all the people who love to hate on Chloe, like, I'm ready for you. I'm ready for the smoke. Get in the comments. Let's go. I promise you. Let's go. So let's talk about Chloe. Chloe is the epitome of society's misunderstanding of feminism. I like to call it pseudo-feminism. I've talked about it a lot on this channel because I talked about it in Resident Evil and Kingdom Hearts and just about everything I talk about. Chloe is a collaboration of every negative trait a man and women simps could attribute to a female protagonist, quotation marks. She's irresponsible. Every other word out of her mouth relates vaguely to an uncontextualized idea that barely echoes a quarter of relevance to feminism. Chloe Price is the worst protagonist in history, but they made her that way. They made her that way. She's not a real person, just to let you guys know. So you can't be using her as an example to something because she's not real. You can contextualize what she could possibly stand for, but you can't say, okay, this is a real person, therefore we should be afraid of this person. It's really interesting that they created this character to exist in canon, this world. She's manipulative, but sadly, I'm sure, take like 2 attributes away from her and she's a realistic symptom of the discourse between the rational and the irrational. And that's all I'm going to say about that. The way she exploits Max is completely gross. Like, the way she treats Joyce, her mother, is appalling. And David is a jerk. Speaking of David, let's talk about David just in 1 second. Before I'm done with Chloe, because that's really all I have to say about her. Because there's nothing, like, everything that happens, it's a symptom. She's a symptom of she's the fear. She's, like I said, the thing that incels and losers are afraid of. They clutch their pillows at night, hoping that they never have to share the same atmosphere as someone vaguely close to Chloe Price. She's their boogeyman, and it's insane. It's quite comical because there are far more dangerous people that are in this series. Like, I would hate to live in this series. You got Frank, this dude that's talking to high schoolers. By the way, I looked it up and they are in high school. This isn't college. And straight out, Rachel Amber, that girl that went missing. And then there's the teacher that's at a high school. I would have understood that something was wrong in the system if this was a college ran by adults with adults attending it, maybe some undergraduates who are teetering adolescence to adulthood, legal adulthood, because like I said, I do believe 25 is when someone should be able to sign their name on something. They should be able to own things and whatnot. I think that would really help our society if we brought the age limit to consent 25. But I'm not here to talk about that right now. I digress. But the fact that it's at a high school is all the more worse because these were underage people. And yes, it's horrible to grab someone who's over age of consent legally and like kidnap them and drug them like they're doing these kids, but these are kids. This is a crazy world. And for anyone to be like, oh my goodness, Chloe is the worst character. Yes, she is wrong. She is poorly written. Whoever wrote her, please step up. Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? Who wrote this woman? Because I know it wasn't a girl. I know it wasn't a woman. I know it wasn't a woman who wrote Chloe. This was some man's worst nightmare come to life, mixed with a little bit of their mom hatred. And that's why she hates her mom. It's crazy because Joyce went through the same thing Chloe went through, and she's like really mean to her for some reason. For some strange reason. But it's crazy. You've got this teacher who, this is a spoiler review for anyone who didn't know. You've got this teacher who is taking children and drugging them at some bunker and taking pictures of them. It's crazy. And by the way, I knew that it was the teacher the whole time. If I play Life is Strange, I will tell you guys the exact moment you can tell that it's him. Because there is a part in I think chapter 2 or chapter 3 where he's on the phone. Jefferson is on the phone and he's talking to someone and we know who it is because we get what's-his-face's phone and we see that he's called Prescott. And I already knew it was the teacher beforehand because he says it in the beginning. In the very first 10 seconds of the y'all really did a poor job at red herring Prescott just because he had a gun at school. And it's not just because boy, how'd you get that in here? Life is Strange just tries to do so much. They tried to put in freaking the gap between the wealthy and the poor. They try to make it seem oh, Nathan Prescott's rich and like everyone's fine with him and he can bring a gun to school and he can be a drunkard and he can do whatever he wants because he's rich. I understood that angle, but whatever. Like I said, there's so many other people who are terrible in this. If we're just going based on storytelling alone, not writing, not reality, because this is fake. If we're just going by storytelling, Chloe is not the worst person here. She's manipulative, yes, but she's not an adult. I mean, she's technically legally an adult, 19, but I think it's really interesting that a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old, literally from like, they could have been going to the same school. And then one of them is expected to be able to buy a car, buy a house, have a life, and know right from wrong. While 2 years younger, we still acknowledge them as children. I think that's really interesting. Whoever, like I said, whoever made the consent age for America, for anywhere that is under 25, they just wanted to be with children. That's it. That's all I gotta say on that. Next person, David. David is a loser who deserves no graces. No graces. Anyone who thinks Chloe treated him unfairly, boo on you. Joyce got out of a relationship where she was happy. She did not divorce this man. He freaking died in a car accident, okay? That's what happened to Chloe's father, for anyone who didn't know. She's a loser and a jerk because she lost her father at a young age. She literally didn't have this get up of F the world before her father died. This was a symptom of issues, a lot of things. I don't believe in half of what Dr. Phil says. Like, he's barely a doctor, but I do acknowledge and understand his squeaky wheel concept. Chloe Price is the squeaky wheel of that family. And there are a lot of symptoms of issues. Why is this woman dating some security dude at the school? For one, maybe it's because like a lot of women go into relationships having to know what comes next. That's why I don't understand why guys are like, well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Like, it's super dumb because guys have a higher position of power in society. They can just walk on a place and be like, I want a job. Here, you have it. You can feed your family, but you're not going to get pregnant. A woman has to have credentials, and even then they're like, well, you can run an errand to get my coffee, maybe. Even though you know how to use freaking electronics and you know how to fix a car, you can get my coffee, maybe, and I'll give you minimum wage for that. How about that? Even though you got yourself a master's degree. But whatever. To be quite honest, let's digress back to Joyce. Joyce probably was with this dude because she wanted to have a strong, stable man to help raise her daughter who's going insane. Freaking, she needs therapy. Chloe needs therapy. Maybe she wouldn't be so freaking sociopathic if she got some freaking help. Like, y'all love to have people go to the doctor for like a broken leg, but when people's relatives be passing, y'all be like, get back to work, get back to school. Like, nothing's where the world's not gonna stop for you. Like, interesting. So what I'm saying is Joyce didn't even consider her happiness when it came to finding David. She was looking at the bigger picture. And that's my hypothesis of it. Like I said, David deserves no graces. It's funny how all the anarchists, the Bart Simpsons of the world, all turned and sided with David over Chloe because she took the gun that he's like, oh, did you take it? Like, did you go through my things? If she went through your things, like, y'all were kids at one point, and this is a bigger issue. The gun thing is a big problem. And it is proven to be a big problem when she freaking shoots herself. And Max has to go back in time and stop Chloe from shooting herself. That's the big thing that everyone laughs at, that all the incels like to say, see, women can't, see, when she's not real. But okay. You can use that. You can use that and say she, like, that freaking, we can look at every single leader, world leader that's been a man. Like, do we not still have war? In fact, a lot of women leaders who carry the burden of having to be perfect or else being told that, oh, you're irrational or whatever, what have it, have done a better job keeping COVID out and keeping people safe than our presidents. Like, look at us. Shameful. Look at Florida. What y'all doing? Like, are they still not bombing people? Are we still not in people's business that we ought not be because it's a civil war? Why are we dealing with someone else's civil war? Like, we can go back and forth, except I have real examples. You can bring Chloe Price to the table and talk about how women don't deserve power because they'll shoot themselves with a gun, while I tell you about all the freaking presidents and all the freaking world leaders, prime ministers that start wars and freaking steal people's resources. But no one wants to talk about that. Let me digress back to Life is Strange. Like, honestly, the hero moment David gets in the end in one of the alternate realities never happens canonically. So he's still a jerk. Remember that when I get to Life is Strange 2. Let's get to like the little minor characters. Old dude who Max keeps brushing off because I don't really know why. Like, we get to say, oh yeah, we will. Yeah, that's cool. But to be quite honest, if they wanted to make Max gay, if they just wanted to make Max gay, they didn't really do a decent job at showing that. I mean, I guess since she would be jealous if that girl, Victoria, would be with Chloe. But like I said, Chloe looks a whole lot older than Max. It's just crazy. I don't know. It's just crazy. Dude, what's that dude's name? What's that boy's name? The guy that helped her the whole time. I liked him. The guy that he was a nice guy. He's not one of those fake nice guys. He was a real nice guy. He was a good guy. And I just feel bad that Max didn't just say, okay, so I'm not into guys, so can we still be friends? Or are you going to play that game, that stupid dum-dum game, that in reality, when real people talk, boys will oftentimes flip the script. And if you deny them access to you in a relationship, they'll be like, well, you were ugly anyway, or I hated you anyway, or if we can't be together, then we're enemies. That's reality. But I would have been fine with him being cordial and saying, yeah, we can still be friends, like a rational person would do, not irrational. That would have been nice. But we don't get anything really with him, and everyone comes to the funeral at the end. I think it's hilarious. Okay, so canonically, Chloe Price gets shot and lives. But by the end, we're seeing one of the realities that Max made, and she dies and everyone goes to her funeral. Even though most of the people that go to her funeral didn't really necessarily know her like that. But whatever. So I can't remember that dude's name. I may put it in if I remember it later. It's Warren. What type of name is Warren? The next dude I'm going to talk about, that girl who was abused, who was like really Christianed. Like, I think they could have went a lot further with that. The thing that I don't like about Life is Strange is that they love to go hard in the paint on the pseudo-feminism, but they didn't want to go hard in the paint on what reality is. And they kind of hinted at Kate Marsh. She was the one that was going to commit suicide if you didn't do it right. Like, I did everything I could to make sure I saved that girl because I didn't want her to jump. But that's still really harsh. It's like a harsh reality. And I can't believe they were doing that at some high school. They were at high school. These are kids. And yeah, they look like kids to me, but the setup, the fact that they've got dorms, why do they have dorms at a high school? I know it's a boarding school kind of, but people are still getting dropped off at it. I don't know. Like, it was like Hogwarts. Like, it's crazy. But whatever. She had to be treated the worst, and they could have went harder in how bad she was treated religiously, because they hint that she's being abused or she's being mistreated. And that's in addition to the fact that she's no longer seen as pure. They're like, oh, we'll pray for you and whatnot. But when that happens, reality, I don't remember, because it's been a long time since I played Life is Strange. I don't remember if it was positive or negative, because like I said, I got her to safety. That girl was going to survive. I don't know if it was like a good or bad thing, but she was being mistreated at school, and they were bullying her for being abducted as a child. What? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's one thing. It's not even anything. It's literally the ground we're dealing with is below sea level, okay? But it's really interesting how adults are sitting there like, oh, well, she should have known. She should have known. Why was she there? What was she doing? But they were doing this to the child. They were saying this to a child. Like, what? An adult could have did this. Like, an adult did do this. No kids picking up nobody's kid alone. Like, it's crazy. I just can't. Whatever. So I liked her. Like I said, I really wish they would have added more of the, religious nut situation on her side, and that whole thing where Chloe's like, oh, you can't come with me, you either have to answer the phone. And I answered the phone because, Chloe, you're ridiculous. I could answer the phone and got in the car at the same time. That was the dumbest decision. That was the second dumbest decision in gaming history. The first one goes to Resident Evil 7, where you have to give the serum to either Mia or Zoe. One person who has tried to kill you the entire time. She may be your wife, but she tried to kill you the entire time. The other girl is the one that helped you the entire time, literally helped you the entire time, got you the serum, and you're not going to give her the serum even though she helped you make it? You dumb? Of course I was the dumb one, and I gave the one that helped me the serum and she died anyway. That's the dumbest decision ever. Third dumbest decision goes to Game of Thrones, the Telltale series, where you have to choose to say something to, what's his face? Ramsay Snow or whatever. And he's like, oh, okay. Either way, you get killed. Either way, you get killed. Those are the top 3 dumbest decisions. And Life is Strange 1 has one of them. Okay? Dum-dums. But to be quite honest, there are a lot of dumb decisions that don't matter in this game. Like, stop making games where we can't have a decent experience making other decisions, especially when you can just rewind your time. And it'd be really interesting if you only had a certain amount of rewinds. Then that would have altered how the story went, even though in the end, nothing mattered. To be quite honest, nothing mattered. Let's just say that. Nothing mattered. So before I get into Life is Strange 2, I'm going to talk about those side games. I'm going to talk about Before the Storm because it was a very disappointing game. And unfortunately, it's only disappointing because people don't want to pay people what they're worth. To be quite frank, it could have been a lot better with voice acting. But honestly, I do believe that people dropped the ball on it writing wise because they were in solidarity with the people who refused to work without getting paid what they're worth. I'm talking about the voice acting strike that Chloe Price's voice actress went on, and that's why she couldn't reprise her role for Before the Storm. I'm also going to talk about Captain Spirit because of course I have to talk about, but honorable mentions before we go from Life is Strange 1, that old woman that's homeless, everyone. And I actually thought it was Max from a long time ago because of the way her hair looked. And I actually thought she was like a time traveler that she got stuck in one of the timelines. So now she's got to like live her life there. And there's not really that much that goes into that. Maybe there's something that I'm not thinking about. But that girl that every time something happened to her, you save her, she's like, thanks, Max. I don't know what her name is. Y'all know what she sound like. She like real goth and she kind of big, but I always saved her because she was cool. Even though she literally had nothing to do with the story. I would always tell her to watch out. She's like, thanks, Max. You helped me so much, Max. Like, she's just a character in herself. It's so cool. But, like, the next one we're going to talk about is Before the Storm. Huge disappointment. It could have been good. I really was interested in Rachel Amber's story. She kind of, y'all look at her. You tell me she don't look like Barbie. You tell me she does not look like Barbie, honestly. So to be honest, the whole story, for people who don't know, if they're just coming in and they haven't seen it or played the games, Rachel Amber was the murder victim of the killer from the first game, the high school teacher, the high school art teacher, whatever. I don't know. He's like a photographer teacher, maybe. I think he's a photographer teacher. He looks like an art teacher. He's really disgusting. He looks disgusting. He's the type of sleaze stack that would probably date a student in high school. And he was terrible. I actually think it was way too loaded. This story, like Life is Strange 1 was far too loaded. Like if they didn't even go on the aspect of how Rachel Amber and him even were talking, because it seemed like Rachel Amber was being abused, talking to Frank, a freaking grown man, and talking to Mr. Jefferson, a fully grown man. And she was in high school. She was attending that school. The only reason why Chloe isn't there is because she got kicked out in Before the Storm. And that's where she meets Rachel Amber. Even though people might believe that she didn't know Rachel Amber, I believe that Rachel Amber was a popular kid that she knew without knowing them. Like, she knew she existed. And I think that's why their relationship seems to go really quickly. And it does. And I think that it would have been nice for them to have known each other in the past. And she finally like talked to her. Like she's like, fine, I'll talk to you. But she just like kind of comes out of nowhere. By the way, that talkback mechanic was super dumb. You really didn't even have to do anything that had to do with like how Max had powers. Literally, it didn't have to be like that. And it's a little annoying because they like had zero effort put into their relationship. They're just like, oh, two girls kissing, let's go, let's do this. They had no effort in creating a situation that actually, like, they would never do that with, yes, a lot of Disney things are like, oh, now I love this dude, but there's back and forth. A prime example of things happening too quickly, but things happening just the right amount of speed for people to get what's happening. Freaking Aladdin and Jasmine. Their relationship is quick, but their relationship isn't freaking out of nowhere. Like, it's not out of nowhere. There's back and forth, that there's dialogue that happens. With Chloe and Rachel, there's no talking, there's no banter together that doesn't already seem like they're already a couple. Even when they have the fight in the junkyard, they seem like they're already a couple. There's no buildup. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people suffer from when they try to make LGBT plus relationships. They just kind of are like, well, as long as they kiss, everything, we're good, we did our job. When you know good and well that's not what you would do with a heterosexual relationship. I'm not a part of their community. However, I do know what a relationship is. And for heterosexual people to act like they don't know how to make gay relationships without being, I don't know what they're trying to avoid. Okay, here's a good example of gay relationship. Me personally, being a heterosexual cisgender woman, I think that Adventure Time did a very good job at building up a relationship with Bubblegum and Marceline. However, it could have gone further. It could have gone further, as it goes further for other people. It wasn't their whole personality, and it wasn't hidden. One might say it was kind of hidden, but like I said, it could have been better. Bad example of a gay relationship. Korra and Asami. Watch my Legend of Korra video. Link is in the description. I really don't like the Legend of Korra, and I'm not really going to talk about her here, but I am going to say that if you're dating someone who dated somebody else, you're not going to date the person that they were dating. That's all I have to say about that. Just have more respect. That's all we all ask for. So, Before the Storm, like I said, is huge disappointment. Really shows nothing about the teachers. I would have loved to seen Mr. Jefferson in life, in reality, like how he would be acting. I don't know if he's new to the school or something, which is another big reason why Life is Strange 1 doesn't really make sense. Because if this dude was new, how come no one thought to ask him, hey, are you freaking a loser? Do any background check before you're like around a bunch of kids? But that's really interesting, isn't it? Before the Storm really gives us nothing but Rachel Amber's family, who is disgusting. He was having how are you going to have an affair? How are you going to kiss? It's a lot because the father, let's talk about the father, because I can't get everything I need out jumping back and forth. So let's just go one by one. The father, the infidel. He's with this woman, Rachel Amber's stepmother, who Rachel Amber assumed was her mother. And she's out there. She already knew when she went with Chloe. She also was a manipulator. Rachel Amber is a manipulator, but she is a coy manipulator. It's not realistic as much as it is improbable. It's improbable. This probably wouldn't happen, but it could. Rachel Amber is this, like, what she does is manipulative. But how she does it, it seems as if it's fine. Like, there's no person in the story that says, wait a second, this is wrong. At every turn in Life is Strange 1, the game tells you that Chloe Price is not the person that one should align themselves with. When she says it's the men that need to be on a leash, she gets shot by a gun that she shot herself. When she plays games and talks back to David, he slaps her. When literally she's like freaking word vomiting all over Max about how terrible her life is, Max tells her it's your fault. Literally, any person who wants to play games about how Chloe was never like punished, she was punished at every corner. It's Rachel Amber who's never punished. Yeah, I know she dies, but that's a separate issue. Literally everything about her dying, really, it doesn't really explain it in Before the Storm. Before anyone comes and talks to me about, oh, well, she died, I think it's pretty interesting that these people are that way and they die. Like, these pedophiles who are talking to children don't die. They're alive. This dude's alive. His dog's alive. Everyone's fine. But the girls who are not in control of what their life is because they are minors, y'all decide that they need to die. Interesting. Rachel Amber gets to kiss whoever she wants. Rachel Amber gets to be on the stage with whoever she wants. She gets to decide who's what, making that girl, even though she was going to poison her with drugs, she does it. And that it's really interesting because that's how she dies. That's the one thing that people did not like about Before the Storm. How she was okay with, and it's in hindsight, like no one knows how they're going to die. So it's like hard to be like, yeah, you should have known that you were going to die. That's distasteful. Like, of course not. In hindsight, we know that she died from someone giving her drugs and taking pictures of her. But it's just not cool to know that that's going on. And it's really not cool to do it to another person. She did that solely so that Chloe could be on stage and it wouldn't be what's her face. She's like, oh, I'm da-da-da-da-da, good luck, because she was going to take her place and whatever. It just seems like Rachel Amber got everything she wanted. And she was like an actress and she was acting in front of the principal. I just feel like they could have gone further with Rachel Amber being as gross. Because it's like Before the Storm explains nothing of how Chloe became the way she was. She was kind of already a jerk. She just was a likable jerk in Before the Storm. She really is a likable jerk. When she gets the blue hair, when she starts to freaking curse a lot more, seems like she become something that no one wants to be around. Nothing in what happened in Before the Storm explains how she got there. And it would be nice if they did. It would be nice if Rachel Amber was a little bit more mean. It would have been nice. They try to make her sympathetic. You don't have to make, here's the thing. You really don't have to make people who are already dead canonically sympathetic. Because the sympathy lands when we know that they're dead. To be quite honest, some people may disagree, and I understand that there are disagreements and there are exceptions to this rule. However, I believe that this was our time to see a person, not an angel, not a demon, but a person. And I don't think Rachel Amber was a person. She was just some make-believe thing that we thought of. Like, so much could have been done with Rachel Amber. And I think Before the Storm should have been an actual game, not a freaking DLC side game thing. It's basically as big as a DLC would be. It's very short. It's very sweet and simple. And it just does not do what it intended to do. It doesn't seem like. And another thing, I thought Rachel Amber had powers. Everyone that I know when I talk about Life is Strange, they think Rachel Amber had some power because when she screamed, the fire got bigger. I actually thought they were going to do more with that. I thought she was going to go to the school and say she was going to burn it down. And then it was up to Chloe to stop her, make her cry. Like something happened, something big. We already know in this world, it exists that people can time travel. What was so wrong about giving Rachel Amber some powers? Maybe that's why she had to be drugged. It would have made it just, I don't know. I just feel like so many things could have been done and it was a waste. It was a waste of time. For all that, y'all could have just scrapped this crap. Y'all could have just scrapped this crap. There was no reason to give us Before the Storm. Let's talk about the mom, not the biological mother. We'll get to her in a second. Let's talk about the mom. I don't know any of these people's names, so I'm just going to call them mom, dad, and whatnot. So Rachel Amber's stepmother, who looked nothing like her. She knew that wasn't her daughter. Like I said, bad voice acting. I'm not really going to talk about that because it's a given. We all know that voice acting was terrible and they didn't care. This girl, it's kind of annoying because I hate when women are just sitting there simping for a guy. Like, I would not accept him going and also like, he probably made the excuse of, oh, that's my daughter's mom. But he went over there and he kissed her. And she was like, I know about the kiss. I know about, like, she knows about everything. Like, why you there then? It can be a sad situation and you can still remove yourself from that set. You can be like, oh, you can cry about it, not in the relationship with this guy. To be quite honest, like I said, Always. There's no reason to simp for no man, honestly. They had this whole movement where guys are like, you open a door for a woman and you're a simp. But simping is way different. It's way more intricate and way more toxic for women to do than a man. Like I said, Sniper Wolf takes $2 from you. Oh, boo-hoo. Like, women lose their lives over simping. Women lose their, like, psyche over simping over some dude. And she's sitting there just allowing that to happen. It's like, whatever. Let's talk about the woman that's on drugs. It was so ridiculous. How are you going to be like, oh, I'm going to put some drugs in you so you get back on the drug? That was the dumbest thing on earth y'all could have done. Literally, why did it turn into something it didn't need to turn into? He didn't have to be some loser. Literally, the mom didn't have to be some drug addict. Like, it's not always that freaking severe. This girl could have just had problems. Like, maybe she was abused at home. Like, this dude was an attorney or whatever. He had to do with the law or something. How is this girl going to go missing and he not do anything about it? He could have assumed that she ran off with the mom, but he has full contact with her. He has complete contact with her based on Before the Storm. He knows how to get in contact with this woman. He knows the drug dealer she goes to. So why on earth would he not ask her where, and then why would she not be looking around? You'd think that the way that Chloe was acting in Life is Strange 1, Rachel Amber's mom, biological mom, would be the exact same way, putting flyers everywhere. You'd think that. Based on Before the Storm. No one told you to do this. No one told you to give us this angle, but you did, and now it doesn't make sense. Congratulations. I know Before the Storm is a prequel to Life is Strange, but why didn't you just use what we already had? We already had the aspect that Frank was in a relationship with her. We already knew that she was trying to leave. Why didn't you look at that aspect? And hey, how about we talk about the fact that this is a grown man talking to a child? Why don't we get some police about this? Why don't we talk about that? Y'all love to talk about how it's bad for Chloe to freaking steal somebody's gun and go through somebody's things. But when straight up freaking predators are dating children, y'all are fine with it. Where's the outrage? Like I said, Before the Storm was a waste of time. It was a waste of energy. It was a waste of effort. It was a waste of money. We got nothing that we didn't already know. We already knew that Chloe and Rachel had something, but we didn't really get how she even met freaking Jefferson. We don't really get much about Jefferson there either. And maybe it was because they wanted to shy away from the fact that literally this dude's a pedophile. But y'all already did that in the first one. That's already the main staple. This dude's drugging kids and taking pictures of them. Life is Strange is strange. I'm eating a peach. I would give Life is Strange 1 a 6 out of 10. I enjoyed the gameplay. The story didn't really make much sense. The Before the Storm is basically like a DLC. It's not really anything. They give no context to how Chloe became the way she was. Yeah, she's traumatized, but you know what? Everybody's traumatized. Like, give us more. Give us more than just saying she's traumatized, all right? Before the Storm gets a 0 out of 10. Like, it's worthless. There's nothing good about it. There's no redeeming qualities of Before the Storm. Before we get into Life is Strange 2, let's talk about Captain Spirit. That was crazy. I don't know why y'all thought that was a good idea to put that. Maybe, like, promotional thing, whatever. Honestly, I hope that no one bought Captain Spirit. I'm not gonna look it up if it's free or not, but it shouldn't be worth a dime. Captain Spirit really is literally just the neighbors of the dudes from Life is Strange 2. Let's get into that. So go back to your own country, like all that crap. Honestly, like, really, y'all really know how to make insufferable people. And it's just like, not just the little boy's insufferable. And then the whole thing with the religion thing. Why didn't you go harder for how bad her religious experience was in Life is Strange 1? But y'all do it here. It's just, this whole thing's out of, like, all of these is just crazy. Y'all are just everywhere. Y'all put everything that I just didn't want to see into a game. Talk about building the wall. Talking about, oh, we need to get your kind out of here. Like, freaking really? And the one time that you could have ethnic women or ethnic girls in your crap you have these two Hispanic boys, it's like, okay, fine. A win is a win. Like that, I think that's a win because you had nothing but pace people in the first one. And yeah, there was like one dude that sounded like Zigbar from Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, he did. He said, I got some dank dope, dude. And he sounded just like Zigbar. Like, go watch that clip. But it sounds just like Zigbar. I bet you anything that's the same dude that voiced him. But I wouldn't put my money on it because maybe not. But Life is Strange 2 is just crazy. There's just a lot going on. And then yet another, like, the only mother that anyone can respect is Joyce. And even Joyce, like, they make her so, like, such a woman simp that it's just, like, hard for me to say. Yeah, she works hard, but you working hard for no reason. Like, you could, like, she, like I said, she only married this dude or only got together with this dude, I think, is because she wanted stability and she needed help raise this child. And I don't know how much someone gets paid to work at no school, but I'm not thinking that he's bringing no triple digit freaking money home, honestly, like a year. I don't think he's making no 6-figure thing. I don't think he's making no 5-figure thing. Like, honestly, I don't know how much he's making, but whatever. She's at this diner making money, I guess. But the little boy is insufferable. The older boy is insufferable. I don't even know their names because I didn't play. I just watched someone play. I don't even remember who I was watching play, but dude, David is back, and supposedly it's canonically proven in Life is Strange 2 that Chloe was shot, but she survived. So the ending we saw in the first one didn't mean squat. And dude was like, oh, I should have listened to her more. I should have like, you just shouldn't hit your kid. Like, that's literally the biggest gripe I had with him, other than him being in the house at all. Like, she didn't, that dynamic where the kid doesn't get along with the step, that it's time to go. And you're like, oh, what about my happiness? You don't look too happy. No one's happy in the situation, but the dude that's abusing everybody in the house. So this dude's out in the desert and we're supposed to feel bad for him because he got freaking kicked out the house or something. I don't know. Maybe I think she calls and he's like, hey, how's it going? But like I said, I haven't played it enough to know. I don't remember. But just a bunch of insufferable people in this game. And then the girl that was old dude's friend in Life is Strange 2 is, I think, the girlfriend of the girl that we play as, or I don't know if her pronouns are she or they, but I think she might be non-binary, which is cool. She looks Asian. I don't know if she is or not. She could be Hispanic, but I think she is Asian. Supposedly her brother died and all that, so we'll get all that. We'll get what happens in Life is Strange 3. I don't know if I'm going to play it, to be quite honest. I don't really want to because, like I said, Life is Strange can mean a lot to people. And I'm happy that it does whatever it does for whoever. But there's a lot of issues. Like, it just hurts me that they don't try. And I see it's just like we've got to accept the bare minimum every time. Always, we got to accept, like, marginalized people, LGBT plus community, black people, Asian people, Hispanic people. We got to accept the bare minimum. When it's like, yes, there's a lean on them to cater to reality and have racism in there because that's real. But when do we get escapism? Where's our escapism? Like, where's our magic? Where's our wonder? Where we don't have to deal with that? And that's my biggest problem with Life is Strange 2. Like, it's just like at every turn, no matter all the power he's got in the world, he still is just like forced to be. And then when he got snatched up by that cult, oh my gosh. Too much happens in Life is Strange 2 to even consider a rating for it. It's hard for me to rate it because it's just like so many things are wrong. So many things they didn't really understand. I can tell that the people who made this, they're not ethnic. They don't care what we sound like. They don't care how we speak. They just are like, let me get this voice out here, even if it's a wrong voice or incorrect or misinterpreted. And it was a lot easier for them to write Life is Strange 1, despite many flaws in the writing and everything that has to do with Life is Strange 1. But I feel like Life is Strange 2 just goes down a whole new level because they were trying so hard to understand something that they can't understand. They should have had more ethnic people in the writing room. I know for a fact that they weren't, or their voices weren't heard loud enough, because this is insane. Life is Strange 2 is a mess. It's just a mess. And all that go back to your own country crap and all that stuff. It's just like, okay. No rating, no comment. I'm done with Life is Strange 2. I didn't really get that deep down into it or talked about any of the characters, because Life is Strange 2 goes by pretty quickly. And yes, it's a nomadic thing because they are running from the cops. Why is it that freaking Max Caulfield can live life and go to life and have things that are bad happen to other people? Like Rachel Amber's the one that died. We had to experience bullying on the outside. We were able to have our own agency as Anglo-Saxon Max Caulfield. But with these boys, they'll be running from the law, can't stay nowhere. And when they get their own agency, they're in trouble for it. Get put in jail and then been told to freaking go back to your own country and see the wall. Why did we have to see the wall? Like, it's just so many things like on here, like, freaking get out of my face. You know that's trash. You know that's trash. You know it. Captain Spirit really did not set the precipice. Like, there's like, in total of the entire game, there has to be like 5 minutes of that boy interacting with Captain Planet, like, or whatever his name is. Freaking, it was useless. It was useless. And then it was a little white boy. Like, it could have been an Asian boy. It could have been another Hispanic boy. Like, there's no other Hispanic people up in here either, except the ones that are like, oh, we're going back to Mexico. Like, okay, dude, okay. Like, the only people that are Hispanic are the ones coming straight out of Mexico? Really? That's what we're saying here? What are we saying here? There's, when you can't just show up. You have to do the work, and they did not do the work to talk anything about the racism that Hispanic people go through, especially during the time that this crap was released. Especially. From Life is Strange 1, which was very flawed, I feel like they got more of what was trying to be accomplished from that perspective than what they could possibly even fathom in Life is Strange 2 with them boys. And then now we have this very light-skinned Asian girl in Life is Strange 3. Okay, let's see how that works. Let's see what they do with that. Are they going to play games with the racism? Are they going to actually talk to someone who's Asian? Or I have no idea what she is. That's just what I assume. Are they going to talk to people? Are they going to get their opinions? Or are they just going to be like, okay, we know it. We know everything. We're going to do it. Like, what are we in for? Because I have yet to, before I made this video, before I watched anybody play Life is Strange 3, I had to go back and figure out what was going on in the earlier days and what happened in Life is Strange 1 and all the mini series parts in the middle that were terrible. Like, even Before the Storm is just disgusting. It's disgusting. But I am so glad that the people who like Life is Strange get something from it. I am so happy that you get something from it. I'm not taking that away from you at all. Physically, emotionally, anything that you get from Life is Strange that is positive, I'm happy for that. I explained why I had a negative experience and negative feeling from it, just from a writer's perspective. Freaking, it's trash. A lot of things that could have been a lot better, even not even taking characters out, literally leaving Chloe. She could have been written better. And I think misogyny had a hand in making her unlikable. And as well as the little boy, like, little kids are very unlikable. Little kids can be really annoying. So I think that Life is Strange 2 is very on brand with that. What I don't like is the ethnic aspect they try to do. And it's okay, we either get white people trying to explain how Hispanic or ethnic people feel in a situation, or we don't get it at all. And then, like, why is there we'll just add more Hispanic people on the payroll? Why isn't it just add more ethnic people on the payroll so that they can write proper, like, maybe that's someone's experience. Out of 1 billion people, maybe 2 people have that experience. But I just can't touch it. I'm not Hispanic, so I don't know if people who were Hispanic took offense to it. I personally took offense to it, just being an ethnic person. Like, where's our escapism? Like I said, Max Caulfield had agency. Not everything bad was happening to her. Excuse me. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people liked Life is Strange 1, because it was more insert yourself, while the second one is a lot less people can fit into that margin. Therefore, they had to set them on a certain train. They had to set them on a certain path. It's a little strange and it's a little annoying that we have to keep dealing with this when the only rational thing I can think of is just have more ethnic people in the writer's room so that things don't look crazy. Things don't look abstract. Things don't look caricature, because racism isn't always about that caricature, go back to your own country. It's systemic. Why didn't we see this boy go to school? Why did we have to be freaking running from the cops constantly? Why? I just don't understand. It's not necessary. We don't always have to be freaking outlaws. We don't always have to be freaking... Why didn't they have their own agency? Why didn't we just see him using his powers a little bit by little bit, and then maybe something big happens? But like I said, that's in hindsight. Can't do anything about that now. But we can look to the future and see how Life is Strange 3 works out. I'll do a video on it. I'll do a quick bit on it when I'm done, because like I said, I'm not gonna play it. I played the first one. I played Before the Storm. I'm not gonna play anything else. I'm basically done. This was just a rundown of all of the Life is Strange crap before Life is Strange 3, before I watch it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Put your crap in the comments. If you're ready to throw fire and shade at Chloe Price, I'm ready to defend her. I'm ready. I am so ready. Freaking come at me, bro. Gauntlet is down. You got something to say about Chloe? Put it in my comment section and then I will freaking tell you. Don't forget to stream, download, play Lil Nas X's new Baby, aka his album. I really love it. My favorites on there, Montero, obviously. That's What I Want. That one, I'm just like kicking to it. Oh my goodness, it's awesome. The one with Miley Cyrus is okay, but only when I'm sad.